So I was going to make this video tomorrow, but because I'm on my way to a wedding, but I needed to talk about this game because I cannot stop thinking about it. Let's get into it. So yesterday was opening round. Collingwood were taking on the Giants. Collingwood went in as underdogs, and it was kind of weird because you thought, okay, like we've seen what we've looked like this preseason, and we've looked good, and everyone from the club, Craig McRae, all the sort of chat has always been, yep, the pies are looking sharp. We're looking at getting better. We're all hitting PBs. Our numbers on the GPS are doing really well. And then we come up against a Giants side that had a point to prove and absolutely proved it. Um, not taking anything away from the Giants after when I talk about Collingwood, but they they looked really well. They were reminding me of us at the start of last season. Now you got to think, at the start of last season, Geelong came out as premiers at the MCG, and we smashed them there, and that was reminiscent. Or yesterday's game was kind of reminiscent of that, just an inverse. And when you look at yesterday's game, it's oh god, we were pretty even throughout the contest. Clearances we won by one. Tackles we did really well in. At one point we had 20 tackles inside forward 50. Ground ball gets in the forward 50. Everything on paper looked like we were putting up a fight, and you know we kind of were. Where everything started to sort of fall off was in the forward 50. Now, we kicked 2 goals, 7 from 9 marks in the forward 50. We had more inside 50s, seven less scoring shots because of that. Oh, not because of that. Even though we had all those inside 50s. Craig McRae at the end of the game said, you know, we do look like we have more inside 50s because we were just bombing it in long, and our forwards weren't ready for those bombs, and they were just coming right back out by the GWS defence. So yes, it looked like we had more inside 50s on paper, but we just weren't doing enough with it. At one point, at the start of the game, we kicked the first goal, and I think a little bit of the way through it, we were like 2 goals 4 or 2 goals 8 or something, or 3 goals 8. And how many times have I said this? Bad kicking is bad football. We were never putting the Giants to the sword. In that first quarter, we looked really good, especially at the start of that first quarter. We looked really good, and we weren't applying scoreboard pressure. You convert a few of those goals in the first quarter, it makes it harder for the Giants. And but in saying that, the Giants kicked 6 goals in a row in that third quarter, and that's where it sort of just fell apart for us, really. Like, yes, we didn't look as sharp as we did in that first quarter again, like for the rest of the game, and we kicked some junk time goals at the end of the game to kind of lessen the scoreboard impact. So that was good. I think we kicked 5 goals in that last quarter, but other than that, it's not an ideal start to the season, and I don't know if it was just because it was round zero, and I've been a big supporter of round zero mainly because, grow the game in New South Wales, grow the game in Queensland. We want to make this the biggest game in Australia, but it just around the city. I was at a couple of bars. It just didn't feel like it, an opening of a season. It really did feel like a preseason game. If that was a preseason game and the Giants did that to us, there was a couple of positives to take out of it. And, one big positive for the Giants was that they were fantastic. They beat the reigning premiers. And you go, okay, practice game, let's dust off. Let's go again against Sydney. And I think that's what we might be touting it as. Like, I dare say we come out and absolutely belt Sydney for what we put up yesterday. No one is happy with how we performed yesterday. There were a couple of maybe selection issues. Callum Brown from Giants kicks 5 goals, right? Jesse Hogan kicked 4. Brent Daniels kicks 4. Charlie Dean, I love Charlie Dean. Big supporter of Charlie Dean. This is his first real game, and I said he was going to come up under a baptism of fire. He was left on Jesse Hogan and just getting like outmarked by Hogan. Hogan's a really good mark, and he's a bigger body. He's probably got like 20 kilos on poor Charlie Dean. But the thing is, Collingwood plays such a team defense that we don't often get caught out in one-on-ones, and we were getting caught out a lot in one-on-ones. The Giants took over a dozen marks inside their forward 50. And it wasn't that we were just getting caught out on one-on-ones, or in one-on-one, sorry. We were getting just caught out in general. I think Callum Brown, he kicked 3 goals in the first quarter. I reckon all of his goals that he kicked in that first quarter were because of uncontested marks in the forward 50, because we were pushing up, we were doing well to attack, and that's the sort of Collingwood game plan. But coming back, the Giants just look so much quicker than us on that burst back, on that counter attack. They were eating us up through the middle, and then Callum Brown is just free. And the irony of GWS forwards having a paddock of space in their forward 50 isn't lost on me, but it just wasn't. It wasn't on brand for Collingwood, and I don't know if it's. And this is not. I'm not saying premiership hangover or anything like that. Maybe a little bit of complacency, thinking that we could just get it done on our own merits. I don't know. That's just me sort of looking, from far back from Melbourne, looking at this game. But it just didn't feel like the Collingwood performance, and I don't want to jump to any conclusions. It's only round 0. It's only been one game. There's still 23 games to go and finals if we qualify for finals. But it just, something obviously has to change really quickly. But when you look at, like I said, when you look at it on paper, we did play well. It's just the conversion. Like at one point, the Giants were 17-5 or something ridiculous like that. And they just couldn't miss. Wherever they getting, they just couldn't miss. And then, on the other hand, Collingwood were 10 goals 17 or something. Like, Schultz is missing from 30 meters out or something. Will Hoskin Elliott and all these sort of players where they would normally kick it. 10 goals 17 is a bit of an anomaly in football. And look, you kick straight, you win games of football, right? And like I said, bad kicking is bad football, and that's what it was. It was bad kicking. We were getting it enough in there. We were doing enough with it. Would I have liked to have taken a little bit more marks inside 450? Sure. Our crummers didn't really do well. Like, I don't think Bobby Hill had a really good game. Lockie Schultz did okay, but didn't have a really good game. Bo McCreary didn't have a really good game. And I guess the sort of positive from this, and the best thing to come out of this, is that these guys will get better. They're not going to be defined by this game. This is probably the worst we play all season. And like I said, that it was reminiscent the Giants of what we did to Geelong last season in round 1. This game kind of reminded me of the Brisbane game last year where we lost by a similar margin, the Carlton game last year, the Bulldogs game in 2022 when we got smashed by 46 points or something. So we've been here before. This was the third highest score conceded under Craig McRae. So that's a little bit scary. But the Giants are a really good side. So if we were doing this against Richmond, or West Coast, I'd be like, far out. Something has to sort of happen. But there's no need, and I've seen a lot of these outbursts and stuff on Twitter and I was going to say TikTok, Twitter and Instagram, and I don't think there's need to panic just yet. Give it a few more weeks. Let's see. Craig McRae's already said, there's no panic stations, and we'll learn from this, and we better learn from this. We better come out and smash Sydney, because Sydney are a good side. They're going to be up in the top 4 this season as well. But I said on Twitter that it was a reality check, and I don't mean in the sense that we were getting sort of too confident. I think that, and Craig McRae kind of said it as well, where, yes, we're getting better, but everyone else is getting better as well. So it's it's going to be a very interesting 3 or 4 weeks up until we have that early season bye, and then we'll reassess what's going on. For me, though, there was a couple of players like Billy Frampton, I reckon, should have played. Pendlebury, I think, shouldn't have played. He at one point he had 50% of game time, and I think that was halfway through the third quarter. Wasn't doing much with it. Maybe his knee wasn't as right to go as we thought it was. Maybe we should have just left him out, let Finn McRae, have a run or whatever it is. I think Jordan De Goey didn't have his best game either. there was a lot of players that were just down. A lot of players can hold their head up. Nick Dacos did super well. 30-something disposals, 16 contested possessions, kicked a really nice goal. Darcy Cameron did really well as well, battling Briggs, who I thought got the better of him. Is this car going to hit me behind? No. Battling Briggs, who I thought did get the better of him at the start, but Darcy Cameron was taking some really good, nice marks. Mason Cox went missing, and that sucks because he was, talking a lot this preseason, so you wanted him to sort of win, perform really well. Braden Manor did good. Josh Dacos. A couple of our stars did as much as they could, but most of them didn't. Our defence was in shambles, and letting those players just get into so much space isn't the Collingwood way, and something that needs to improve really, really quickly. My 3-2-1s for this game is 3 votes, Nick Dacos, incredible. Josh Dacos, 2 votes. And my final vote could have gone to Braden Manor, but I'm going to give it to Darcy Cameron because I think he's backed up a really good preseason with a really good game, and he's going to need it against Brody Grundy next week. But look, all in all, definitely no panic stations at all. Like, don't even think about that. We're still the reigning premiers. It was just, I think it might have been a bit of cobwebs, maybe a little bit of team chemistry. Just wasn't gelling as well as we hoped. It could be the fact that GWS just had a bigger point to prove than we did. And sometimes, that's all it comes down to. Sometimes it's just, footy's just a mental game. And, the Giants had such a big point to prove. And they absolutely proved it. And if we kick straight, we win. Like, that's the thing. Like I said, and I'll keep reiterating, we convert, we kick 2 goals, 7 from marks. When does that ever happen? Like, it's one of those games, and we will 100% bounce back. And we take on the Swannies next Friday in the flag unfurling. But look, I'm upset. I'm really upset, and that's why I want to make this video, just to get back to the original point of Swoop Luke, just to kind of get my thoughts so I don't have to think about this game for the rest of the weekend. But we'll be okay. It's one game, round 0, so it doesn't technically count anyway. But let's back it up next week, and we'll go from there. Let me know your thoughts down below. Who did you perform? Who's your 3-2-1? Any and all of your thoughts on the game, leave them down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, single tracker, I'll super later.